What is going on, guys? My name is Bradley with DoublySports, bringing you a brand new episode of our Sleepers, Studs, and Stacks. And this is for Draftkings NFL Week 7 of the 2020 NFL season. Guys, thank you so much for your support. We have been on fire lately, and I cannot thank you enough for coming back each and every week to view our content. And to say thank you, I want to do a giveaway, but I need a little bit of help, okay? If this video reaches 100 likes, which we should do with ease, guys, just drop a big thumbs up. If we reach 100 likes, I'm going to be giving away the cash equivalent of a Millionaire Maker ticket. So I'm going to stipend you $20 so you can get into the Millionaire Maker for free. You just need to like this video and then drop a comment below with who will be the top point scorer from the Sunday main slate. So that's the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games. If you're here on the East Coast like myself, give me the top point score. If one person correctly guesses the top point score, or multiple people guess it correctly, one of those correct answers will win that $20 prize. Again, thank you for liking this video. Go ahead and drop a thumbs up if you will, and then put a comment below with who the point scorer will be. Participants must be 18 years or older, void where prohibited, no purchase necessary. Full contest rules and details are down in the description below. Again, thank you so much. Drop a thumbs up, and let's get into our week that was. The lineup, man. We gave you this lineup on Patreon, and we gave you the player pool that included all of these good players. We gave you that player pool for free on Facebook. And then Patreon got it first on Friday. We're going to be putting it up again Friday morning. So if you're watching this Thursday night, we're going to put this up Friday morning over on Patreon. It's our initial player pool. Patreon.com/DoublySports. But the good, DeAndre Swift, we mentioned him as one of our super sleepers. Ryan Tannehill. I said if there's one cheap quarterback you need, it's Ryan Tannehill. And we mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick, who also went off. But Matt Ryan was our starting quarterback for our player pools. Derrick Henry was a must start in my opinion, as well as Julio Jones. Might want to lean back towards Calvin Ridley this week. You know, America loves to ride the hot hand, so I think Julio Jones will be heavily purchased. Myles Gaskin had a nice little game, but Chris Godwin, Jarvis Landry didn't really pay off for us, and neither did Juju Smith-Schuster. Only 2.6 points. You see a lot of people getting mad at these players because they're like, you suck. You only gave me 2.6 points, and I think we all know who I'm talking about. But guys, NFL players don't play for your fantasy league, man. Don't get mad at them. Chill out. God, I can't stand that, to be honest. Regardless, we're heading into week 7. Clear the slate. Lots of opportunities to take care of at the sleeper position. Some really good value plays. What is a sleeper in our opinion? Well, that's the low price guys under $5,500 that I expect to have a big weekend. We take a lot of this based off of player time, target shares, matchups, snap counts, and injuries that have recently occurred. So where are we going to start? I got to give you a quarterback, man. Joe Burrow, $5,500 going up against the Cleveland Browns. We said it last week. I said it week 5. I said it week 4. I said it week 3. Cleveland, this defense has struggled immensely. Joe Burrow has 19.1 points in 4 of 6 games. 19.1 Draftkings points in 4 of 6 games. That's essentially 3.5 times his value right now. $5,000, 20 points, that's 4 times. You see where I'm going with that? So you're facing a weaker Cleveland Browns defense who's 4th in pass yards allowed and has allowed 13 reception touchdowns. That's about 2 receptions a game. I look for Joe Burrow to have a huge connection with T. Higgins. I'll get to that in a second. DeAndre Swift, $5,400 against the Atlanta Falcons. Again, everyone harps on it. I don't expect this to be a surprise play by anyone's opinion. Atlanta and Carolina, my team. 2 of the worst teams in the league against running backs, both against the run and pass-catching backs because of struggling linebacker play. DeAndre Swift is a matchup nightmare for them this week. Atlanta's probably going to play a little deep, looking out for Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones Jr., and TJ Hawkinson. I think DeAndre Swift will have a lot of open gaps to play. My biggest fear is Atlanta pounces all over this Detroit defense and kind of eliminates that game script where DeAndre Swift is getting a lot of handoffs. But it could turn out that he is going to be the pass-catching back because we know that's not going to be Adrian Peterson. David Johnson at $5,300 going up against the Green Bay Packers. They're allowing 36 DraftKings points per game to opposing running backs this season. That doesn't mean the single running back is getting 36. I mean, a running back by committee. According to Pro Football Reference, 36 DraftKings points per game to opposing running backs. If David Johnson can just get me 20, Just give me 20 points, David, and I'll be happy with that. They've allowed 7 touchdowns on the 6th fewest attempts to running backs, meaning they are getting gashed by running backs all season long. I don't need huge amount of volume for this to pay off. If David Johnson just gets 12 handoffs and 5 targets, I think he could put up 15 points at 3 times the value. I love that play. David Johnson, 5,300 against the Packers. T. Higgins, same exact price point. I mentioned it. I personally think this is Joe Burrow's favorite target. He hasn't had a lot of time to mesh with A.J. Green. There's some people, I think it's John Ross, that want to trade Tyler Boyd. They haven't really been able to connect thus far. T. Higgins is leading them in snap shares over the last 2 weeks. T. Higgins at 5,300 could be his number 1 target against a bad Browns defense. I really like that connection, and you'll probably see it pop up on the stacks. Mike Williams at $4,700 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Watching the Keenan Allen injury very closely, he was held out of some of Wednesday's practice. We'll see how he goes as this week progresses. But the Jaguars defense is 25th in pass yards allowed per game, allowing the highest completion percentage in the NFL, and 28th in points per game allowed. Justin Herbert is really starting to click. That offensive line is getting better every single week. Austin Eckler is not going to be there. So Justin Jackson, Joshua Kelly, do you hand it off or do you leave it in the hands of Justin Herbert? I think they're going to trust him to make a couple of throws this week. And Mike Williams saw a massive amount of targets in week 6. Marquez Valdez-Scantling at $4,100 against Houston, not Green Bay. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I'm just stupid and can't type, okay? Everyone makes mistakes. But picking MVS is not going to be one of them. I think he is absolutely a super sleeper if you're playing in these larger tournaments. Yes, he is kind of a boom or bust guy. He doesn't have quality of targets as much as it is just a banger of a play. But Houston's been exposed to the deep ball all season. They're one of the worst teams against the deep ball because they've been getting a lack of pressure from their front 7. I think Rodgers has a bounce-back game. That offensive line got absolutely exposed against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they improve. They have a fire lit under them, and I expect him and MVS to connect on a couple of deep balls. At 4,100, I'm looking for 1 touchdown on 2 targets, and that gets me 12 to 15 points, right? A big booming play, 50-yard touchdown, that's 12 points right there. I'm taking Marquez Valdez-Scantling at $4,100 because I think there's a lot of really good value plays, but you have to pay for some expensive studs this week. Another price point that really surprised me is Corey Davis at $4,800 against Pittsburgh. I truly think Pittsburgh is one of the better defensive teams in the league. I know that they haven't shown that 100% of the time, but Corey Davis, hear me out. Before the COVID outbreak with the Titans facility, he was their wide receiver leader in targets. Well, he shared the lead in targets with A.J. Brown. And he led in snap share. He wasn't injured. He's not coming back off an injury. We don't have to worry about his playing time. He's just been held out because of a precaution for COVID-19. Should step in immediately and in a game that Tennessee will need to throw the ball and need to score to keep pace with Pittsburgh's offense. Corey Davis at $4,800, another really good wide receiver play. Our more to watch, and this is where we expose DeAndre Swift. We'll get more into this in our late bloomers report that comes out on Patreon first, patreon.com/DoublySports. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you support the channel, we get it to you first. That's kind of our philosophy. But we do put our player pool out for free on Facebook Sunday morning, facebook.com/DoublySports. Join in the movement over there. We'd love to have you. I'm always answering questions, and I am happy to do so. More to watch this week. Joshua Kelly, $5,100, or Justin Jackson, looks like Kelly's probably going to be the number 1 back starting for them this week. Justin Jackson got a little banged up, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Kelly, I expect to be the starter at $5,100 going up against a less than stellar defense. Could be a great chance for him against the Jaguars. Curtis Samuel, an offensive pricing point. Offensive pricing point at $3,900. He says that he could have gone last week. He had a knee injury. Coach kept him out. Game time decision, should be good to go this week. He is their 3rd down threat. That offense for the Carolina Panthers missed him immensely last week. He's averaging about 5 or 6 targets a game. At $3,900, I'm looking for 1 touchdown against the New Orleans Saints defense. I think he can achieve that this week. Looking for another 12 to 15 point game out of Curtis Samuel. At that price point, it's not going to hurt you that bad to take a gamble. I like Mike Williams and MVS a little bit better, but Curtis Samuel for another super sleeper play. Russell Gage, $4,400 against Detroit. Detroit's defensive backs have been terrible. They haven't let up a ton of yards, but they're letting up a lot of receptions this year. I think Russell Gage is going to be one to keep an eye on if you want to fade the Ridley Julio train that everyone else will be riding. Flip side in that game, TJ Hawkinson, $5,000 against Atlanta. I've already talked about it. Atlanta's linebackers, and because I know from experience, Carolina Panthers, Atlanta's linebackers are not good in coverage. That is a matchup nightmare for TJ Hawkinson in this scenario. I expect him to have his best game of the year at $5,000. But my favorite tight end play of the week is going to be Eric Ebron going up against Tennessee at $4,000. Not looking for a lot of touches again at that price, but he is a huge red zone threat for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's time for the studs. And although these guys are very expensive, I really feel that you need some of these expensive names in your lineup this week. They're priced up for a reason this week. Normally, I can get the 5th or 6th priced running back or wide receiver. I don't think that's the case this week, especially if this Seattle and Houston game actually kicks off. Got to keep an eye on that one. But I'm going to start it out with, I think, the top point scorer. If I were entering in the contest below for that chance to win a Millionaire Maker ticket, this is my guy. Alvin Kamara, or Kamara. Don't care what you say, just know he's a stud. $7,900 against the Carolina Panthers. I hate picking against Carolina. I really do. I think their defense is vastly improved. Vastly improved. But here's what scares me in this game. Both Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. Thomas isn't on this slide, but here's why he scares me if you're listening. Alvin Kamara, a check down back. Michael Thomas, nothing but slants. We get that. This Carolina Panthers defense is designed to keep everything in front of them. They have the lowest average yards allowed per reception in the NFL. They keep everything in front of them. The downside to that is that's where the running back's going to be on a lot of these wheel routes. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas on these slant routes over the middle. Kamara is going up against Tahir Whitehead. I think Pro Football Focus rated him number 80 out of 82 qualifying linebackers in pass coverage and defensively against the run. Alvin Kamara, there is no reason he shouldn't have a baller game. Aaron Jones, $7,200 against Houston. I mentioned it earlier. I think this is a bounce back game. Green Bay is going to come out and try and make a statement, open up a lot of holes for Aaron Jones. You have to. After what happened last week with Aaron Rodgers absolutely being torn up in the backfield and the game over by the end of the first quarter, you have to come back, especially against a team that's allowing the 3rd most Draftkings points to running backs and 8 rushing touchdowns in just 6 weeks. That's about a touchdown and a half per game, at least a touchdown per game. There's no reason Aaron Jones shouldn't find the end zone at least once running and once receiving. I hope. $7,200, expensive, but I think that one certainly pays off. Julio Jones, I am still all in on the Julio Jones train this week. I think Calvin Ridley is going to see the share of picks for DraftKings. But Julio Jones, $7,100, going up against probably Jeff Okudah. I could be wrong on that, but if it's lined up against Jeff Okudah, Julio all day. Kyler Murray, $7,100 against Seattle. I love this Arizona team. I love this stack. I want to get as many sleeper plays and load it up with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins this week. If I could make a lineup with Alvin, DeAndre, and Kyler, that's my dream lineup. I don't care who I put in there. I want those 3 guys because they're going to get me a 90-point base in my opinion. DeAndre Hopkins, again, it's the Seahawks secondary. They have allowed the 4th most 20-yard plays or 20-yard passes in the league. DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk, I'm screaming for you to have success in this one. And finally, Chris Carson at $6,400 against Arizona. Again, got to watch out for this game. Not sure what DraftKings is going to do with the slate at this moment. Even when he doesn't get handoffs, he sees receptions, should be heavily involved once again this week. And more to watch. Calvin Ridley, again, it's kind of a toss-up to me. Julio Jones, I think, is going to see the red zone targets in this one. Calvin Ridley, probably going to make a lot of big plays as the Lions allow 11.8 yards per reception. I really think those are going to be both 20-point players, in my opinion. Kenny Golladay going up against the Atlanta Falcons on the opposite side of the ball. Terry McLaurin, $5,800 against Dallas. We saw Dallas get beat up last week by the Seahawks. It doesn't look like their offense is going to be able to sustain drives. Maybe Washington can sneak out a victory in this one. If Washington's going to be able to move the ball, it's obviously going to have to be through Terry McLaurin. Aaron Rodgers going up against Houston. I've harped on that. It's a bounce-back game for him. Not my favorite quarterback play. $7,000 against Houston. Not a bad position. Robbie Anderson, $6,000 against New Orleans, allowing, I believe, the fourth most touchdowns in the league to passing. Robbie Anderson should see a lot of targets. I don't think Carolina is going to be able to keep up with the New Orleans offense if Michael Thomas is back, which means Teddy Bridgewater's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, his number one targets. Curtis Samuel could be there to sustain drive, so we'll see how that happens. Carolina, very good third down conversion, except for last week, but Robbie Anderson should be his number one guy. And then Travis Kelce, $6,300 against Denver. Hands down, my favorite tight end play of the week. I would like to get Travis Kelce in if I'm not able to get DeAndre Hopkins. If that Seattle-Arizona game doesn't play, Travis Kelce probably going to be the next most expensive guy that I want to lock into my lineup. I feel like I've been talking a lot today, guys. So, if you want me to shut up, just pause the video, give it a thumbs up. Again, drop a comment down below. I would love to talk to you. Find me on Twitter. I'll throw that in at the end, but a lot of you already follow me. Please, let me know. I want to talk fantasy football, stardom, sit-ems. I love to talk about it. Now, our stacks in our defense. These are 3 stacks or player builds that have a strong foundation to build your team around. Last week, we gave you the Atlanta Falcons. We said, listen, take the cheaper option. Take Julio Jones. I see that a lot with one of these lineups this week. Cincinnati Bengals going up against Cleveland. I've picked on Cleveland all year. If you want to save a lot of money, this is the one to do it. Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, all extremely underpriced. There is the chance that Tyler Boyd pops off, and that is the number one wide receiver. But because of that snap share, I'm not too afraid to take a chance on this if I'm playing in some bigger tournaments. Maybe not for 50-50s, but the bigger tournaments, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, probably going to be something I would enter. I enter a lot of 50-50 lineups, and I think this is the one that I want. The LA Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, we'll have to watch the weather. You never know how that Florida weather is going to pan out. But Justin Herbert, without his number one running back, I think they're going to put the ball in his hands and allow him to throw, just to take a chance. I do hate when a West Coast team has to travel to the East Coast. Hopefully that doesn't affect them. Justin Herbert, if Keenan Allen's out, then you have Mike Williams and Joshua Kelly, the cheapest starting 3-man, the cheapest stack you can buy this week. Why would you not want to play that against one of the worst defenses in the league and the Jacksonville Jaguars? Play that, and that gives you all the room in the world to lock down DeAndre Hopkins if that game plays, Alvin Kamara. Maybe you go with Travis Kelce. Want to pay down? Go ahead and grab Eric Ebron. There's nothing that would scare me if that's the lineup that I put together. And finally, the Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints. Teddy Bridgewater, one of the top leading yardage passers in the NFL, was leading in completion percentage going into last week. I haven't seen a lot of volume from him, but efficiently speaking, he is putting the ball up there against a New Orleans defense that surprisingly is giving up a ton of touchdowns in the league, in the bottom half of touchdowns allowed to wide receivers and passing overall in the league. Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints, they're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with this New Orleans offense. I don't expect the Panthers to win, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to have to make a couple of extra throws that he hasn't made thus far. Bridgewater, Robbie Anderson at like $6,000. Your number one wide receiver, who's, I believe, first in the league, or second now that DeAndre Hopkins played on Monday night, second in the league in yards, and he's only at $6,000? Yeah, Robbie Anderson, Teddy Bridgewater, a nice little combo. Maybe you want to sprinkle in DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel. I'm going to kind of shy away from Mike Davis this week. I think teams are going to force Teddy Bridgewater to beat him. Defenses. I'm looking for turnovers and sacks, man. And we start at the top with the two most expensive, the Bills against the Jets and the Chiefs against the Denver Broncos. I absolutely love both of these defensive plays, as clearly you would, being the two most expensive. One dark horse that's out there, the Washington Redskins. I said it week 1 through week 3. That offense is terrible. The one bright spot is a Ron Rivera-led defense. The Redskins have a pretty good defense if they're able to create pressure, which they do a decent job of, and get in Andy Dalton's face. There's no reason he shouldn't commit 1 or 2 turnovers like he did last week. I think Dallas ultimately wins this game, but I could see the Redskins holding them under 24 points, 2 turnovers, 2 sacks. You're still looking at about an 8-point day. And at $2,500, I will take that to save money for other position players. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. It was a little bit longer than I anticipated. I kind of get carried away. I love talking football, so thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for giving a thumbs up and subscribing so you never miss a video. Connect with me. Find me on Twitter at BradMLee, on Instagram, my personal BWE, or if you want to talk with all of us behind the brand, Twitter, DoublySports, Facebook.com/DoublySports, or visit us on Patreon if you want to go above and beyond in support of the channel, Patreon.com/DoublySports, where we give you access to our weekly starting 5. That's 5 players that we absolutely want to lock into our starting lineup, a late bloomers report, some possible lineups that you can create with our player pool. We'll probably drop another 3 possible lineups this week, and that gets all posted before we post it to Facebook. Another plus for joining us on Patreon, we give you my best bets, Bradley's best bets, and we, again, been on fire with that recently as well. I have 3 more locks that I'm absolutely loving this week for Bradley's best bets, and would love to get those in your hands if you want to support the channel. Shout out to everyone that's been sending me screenshots, by the way. Screenshots. Love it. Over on Facebook, thank you for giving me your screenshots. I love to see your success. I want to build that bankroll. It's us against the world that's spending 150 lineups in the Millionaire Maker. The odds are in their favor. I get that. There is a lot of research that goes into that. I get that. But I wholeheartedly believe that if there was 150 lineups, you better be winning every single week. But I'm determined to take them down with our single bullets and the single entries and the 3 entry maxes. But that's why I focus so much on the double ups and the 50-50. So hopefully the next time that I see you, you are cashing and in the green. Thank you for being a part of the Doubly Sports Nation. Leave a like and comment down below your top scoring player from Sunday's slate. Best of luck to you in the contest and on Draftkings.